Welcome to the Run Radio Podcast. My name's Trina. My guest today, you may have heard her on the Contributor Corner every weekday, Wednesday, with her insight on just being an entrepreneur and balancing life. Billie Wiegand with Mountain Pine Studios. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
We met, like so many people do, through networking, which can be such a valuable asset. So let's move back, though, before you got into networking. How did you kind of get to this stage of entrepreneurship that you knew you needed networking?
So my husband and I had started this company back in 2019. He was head spearering the whole operation. I was just a pack mule. And whenever I had made a career transition to being more present with my kids, being more aware of my weaknesses and trying to improve that, I had found great joy in being part of photography and videography and seeing the impact it has for individuals and organizations as well. So I had decided to network to not only just build my community and build my business, but to also find those people where I can share that passion and that inspiration for photos, for videos, for art in general. So that's kind of where I saw the beauty of networking, just saw how impactful it is for an entrepreneur, as an individual, as an artist.
So you said it was kind of like the brainchild that your husband was all into and everything like that. So what made you want to get involved into photography specifically? Because you could have just sat back and said, nah, I'll do scheduling. That's all I want to do. But you grabbed the camera and went for it.
So I part of it was because I was very frustrated with how society is in treating just the employees. I've always been the employee aspect, always seeing just the day-to-day basic level and not really seeing the opportunity to grow. And my husband was getting more and more weddings, and they were looking for both a wedding videographer and photographer. So I had stepped up as photographer to help him out, and just so we can close the sale. But I had started noticing the relationships I built within that photography moment. So creating those moments with the bride, the helping with the family, things like that. I took great joy in it. And then I also noticed the little technical things that people don't always see. And like it sort of became solving like a puzzle. And then as I further and further with networking with the business, I had saw just incredible beauty with photography and just inspired by so many other photographers out there. There's a lot of great talent out there. Parker Wallabeck is one I enjoyed seeing his work. Peter McKinnon. There's so many other great ones out there that just inspire me. I'm like, hey, I can take this shot too. Because in the shot, it's more than just the colors, the composition. It's the moment itself. It's the emotion in it. And that's what, when I fell in love with photography, I'm like, dang, like this is such an incredible thing, such an powerful thing that we kind of just take for granted nowadays. And so I love sitting with people and letting them know about this passion and educating them about the art itself.
It is an art, and it goes into the whole, so many people use the word storytelling. And it is all about capturing how much you can tell in a click. So what are some of the favorite things, storylines that you like to try to get and freeze into a time frame?
So whenever I started, I'm a young female with 2 small kids. I'm already going to be opt for families, especially families with young kids. And I usually go up to the families and let them know, hey, I'm not going to try to pose them. I'm not going to try to tell them what to do. They don't know who I am. I don't really know who they are. We're just going to have some fun. Those are the moments I look for. I look for the authenticity. I look for those moments where I fear could not be captured again. Because there's moments and expressions that we may have for just a split second, and that second is gone because we're not guaranteed forever. So being able to anticipate that moment, helping guide those emotions, or kind of leading them on into, hey, this is a big, incredible moment for you. how do you want to express it? And obviously you're not standing there and telling them this information. You're kind of just observing everything around them and capturing what you observe. That's my preferred photography style. I love candid. I love lifestyle. I love cinematic. Those are my top 3 go-tos whenever I'm doing a photography or videography session.
There are so many different types of photography. I think in a quick thought, people think, oh, of course there are. Yeah, you've got, weddings, and you've got birthdays, and you have senior pictures, but it's so much more than that. And I learned so much just from you that there are branding opportunities. You can work with product. Go ahead and kind of break some of that down for people.
Okay. No, I'm glad you brought it up, because one of the things I do to kind of further my knowledge is do conferences. So B&H had a conference last year about this sort of thing, where you just have a picture, and it might be a person in a dress. And the keynote speaker had said, what kind of photography is this? Is this portrait? Is this fashion? Is this makeup? Is this, movement or branding? Like, there's so many niches that aren't very well known in the area, because it can get muddled down real easily, and people can debate over, oh, this is clearly fashion, oh, this is clearly makeup, or anything like it. So my tidbit is, if you aren't sure what kind of style it is, look at the subject itself. What is the subject doing? What is their face doing? What emotion or expression are they using? If the attention is on the face, it's probably a portrait. If the attention is on the dress, it's more likely fashion. And those are kind of the little things I notice, and that's just one little area. You look at nature photography, look at all the little subsects that are in all of that. There is wildlife, there is landscape, there is mountains, and all sorts of different things that people just aren't aware of. And it's more comes back to the photography community that we have these kind of discussions. But like I said, I love letting people know about the range and the impact that photographers have with their art.
What's your favorite kind?
Oh gosh.
Is it hard to pick?
Well, a little bit. So I go back to my editing styles. That's kind of how I figure out what type of photography I like. I love portrait, that's for sure. I love branding. I love product. I love really any commercial work of photography. I love. But it's because of my editing styles of why I like them. So my 3 go-to is lifestyle. So lifestyle edits are going to be true to color. They're going to be, they might be a little bit warmer if it's outdoor versus indoor, things like that. Then there's cinematic, which is what Parker Wallenbeck and probably Peter McKinnon would use more too. These are going to be your teal and orange tones in your subject, especially if it's a portrait. And portrait can be senior, it could be couples, it could be anything with a human, essentially. They look for the warm tones in the skin, and they will enhance that in post. Same thing with teals and the cooler colors. They'll enhance them to be more of a complementary contrast. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's part of the reason why I like, whenever I first started, outdoor photography was my favorite because of golden hour. And golden hour is when you get that softest light. That's where you're going to get the teal and the orange. And that's where you're going to get the cinematic. It just looks gorgeous. And then over the years, I think I finally found my third style I really like. So it's Alessandro De Luca. Him and I collaborate quite a bit. The Valentine's Day one is probably my favorite new style, which is a very moody and romantic style. It had a lot of warm tones and the reds and oh my goodness, I just loved it.
Well, I thought you were going to say food because
oh yeah,
Alex does food and it is good. But so you loved the whole setting the scene of what you're going to take in when you walk through those doors.
I loved it, and I had that anticipation because I knew how many couples we were going to have beforehand. I already knew what the food was going to be. I knew it was going to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was excited about the wine pairing from Casal Vineyards, and I just loved the whole thing. It was just perfect, and everything about it was just great. And I already knew in my mind what kind of colors I was looking for, what kind of expressions I was going to look. Even body language is a huge thing when it comes to photography because it has a big impact on your composition.
Yeah.
So I just, but putting all that into post, it was just incredible to see those images and just the romantic look of it. And Moody, I'm like, I did that, and I love it.
And they were great.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to having more sessions like that where I kind of explore more than those first two, the lifestyle and the cinematic edits. I'm really looking forward to that.
So let's talk about something that I don't want to say it's controversial, but we all have a camera in our pockets these days.
Yep.
And it's a great tool, but there are reasons to come to a professional photographer versus trying to do a professional job with an amateur camera. And can you kind of make sense of that for people? I'm not insulting. I mean, I love walking down the street and taking my nature walks and doing shots with my, phone camera.
Yeah.
But I also can't tell you the difference that you did on my branding photos. I mean, it's night and day. So tell people the why of that.
So, I'll answer that with a story. I had sat down with a person. We had a B2B. I'm not sure if they're okay with the story. That's why I'm kind of hesitant to give out information. But this person had asked me to do their child's wedding, their wedding photos. I said, yeah, absolutely. I gave that child my price. I say child. This person's a full-grown adult. But for clarity's sake,
you were talking to the parent.
I was talking to the parent. I was talking to parents, grown adults, and I had gave them my price. And that's always the problem whenever people just, they go to a professional and they expect it to be an affordable price. I wasn't considered an affordable price. It's fine. I've been told no many times. And I moved on, didn't even think about it afterwards. But they had came to me and they had said that they had wished that their child had used me for their photos. And this person has photography background too. And I'm like, oh no, what happened? They had gotten the final result and the images were blurry, out of focus, misuse of lighting. I mean, I remember seeing one of the photos and I had seen that the subjects were dark and the background was so overexposed, and it was so sad to see that. But I mean, I legit thought it was a phone camera. I thought, okay, someone took their picture on their phone, and no, that was one of the end results. And so this individual is going back through all the photos and re-editing it for their child, and I probably would too. And it's because they had picked a photographer that was affordable. So there is that gamble. So what I love to do when someone asks about my services and my pricings, what makes my day is whenever they ask about my gear. Because photographers have gas syndromes, which is a gear acquisition syndrome. We like to collect stuff. Anything and everything that we think will benefit us, we'll take and use. So I love talking about how incredible and how lucky I am to use like my Canon R6 Mark II, which if you don't know, that's fine. But for me, it's a really good camera because it's great dynamic range. The shutter is great. ISO is great. Aperture is great. And that's mainly from the lens, but that's a story for a different day. So, and that's just where gas syndrome kicks in.
Right.
And I love talking to people and just educating them, letting them know that, hey, this gear does, this result. But I love to let the public know that this gear is not cheap. The one camera I really, really want is a Canon R5C. Brand new, that camera is $5,000. And the lens I want is a RF 70 to 200 millimeter lens at 2.8 aperture, which is a pretty penny for the lens. And people don't understand is once the job is done, it's done. I'm not a reoccurring service. You pay once and you're done. And there's been a talk lately, especially among the wedding community for photographers, that once the service is done, it's done. You have those photos for 20, 30, 40 years. It pays it for itself over time. So educating the audience about using professional because it's going to be the quality. You're going to want the quality more so than you're going to want the affordability, because you're going to end up with a very angry parent whose child's wedding photos look terrible.
Yeah.
And they can't salvage them. One of the photos, and this one broke my heart, they got the photos back, and it was bride dancing with parent, and she cried. She had a tear come down, and you can't recreate that.
You can't. No.
So, and it was completely blurry. It was just not captured. So that's the thing I would let people know is you're gonna get what you paid for. You're gonna get experience. You're gonna get quality. You're gonna get people who are reliable. That's such a key thing in the creative service-based business that not a lot of people know is how reliable are they? It's more than just a portfolio.
Well, and I think it usually takes a few bad people that spoil it for the others. There have been professionals that take advantage of someone who doesn't know what they're paying for, and they've gotten ripped off, and so then they're like, forget it, I'm not going to let that happen again, I'm going cheap. So what should they look for in a good price is right photographer?
Okay. Gear for sure. That would be my thing. I care more about the gear, and I know that sounds dumb, but you can be an okay photographer with an okay camera, but get okay results. I would also be in a situation, which is my second point, look at their portfolio. Before you even message them, look at their stuff. What is their editing style? What are they more familiar with? So if they're posting on social media more about couples or kids or pets, that's going to be an indication to you that they're more familiar with posing and working with and just are really well with this sort of photography niche. That's one of the reasons why I love doing commercial work. It's just because there's such a variety available to work with individuals, because the thing about commercial is you kind of capture it all. Working with small business owners, you're capturing their story, their why, their how, where their goal is going to be. That's why I love it.
For the commercial stuff, when we did our session together, Billie took some of my pictures for my just for my website and things like that, but you were like, bring some product, bring your headphones. And so you took these pictures of my shirt and the jacket, and they look phenomenal. So thank you for doing that. But that's something that I don't think that people maybe realize they can use to level up and kind of take to the next level. They may think at first, well, I am not selling, this widget that I made. You don't have to. There are other things that you can do for them. So maybe what are some of the other things that they might need to be aware of that you can do for them when it comes to not just portraits?
So I do this with my business coaches, any kind of life coach or software coach or engineers. Capture the interaction. Capture the interaction, the moments you have between yourself and your client, because Alessandro had the greatest quote whenever I first got into networking, and that is, you are selling a story. You are selling a relationship. Everyone else can do the same thing as you are, and they may even do a little bit better. But the difference between you and them is they don't know that other person's story. And that is so true. And it's kind of nice in the photography realm because we know pretty quickly who we click very well with. And now starting out, it sucks because you kind of just need the person to be there for the portfolio and a little bit of money, especially whenever you're just starting. Because the thing with my story is I had gone from 9 to 5 in one day, had a job lined up, that job failed on me, and went straight into photography.
Yeah.
I didn't have a transition time, and at the time, we were wanting my husband to do it full time.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. I'm here, and I'm running the show. So to those who don't sell like a physical product, so service-based and technology, things like that, the interactions between the people are going to be crucial. And also just moments where you are yourself. So if it's a person who loves nature walks, incorporate that into it as well. So that could be your setting, that could be your backdrop. Because whenever we worked with yours, I asked a couple of questions. One of them is, what color do you want? And that's just to make sure it aligns with your vision and your goals. So with family photography and newborn, you already know what the goal is. The goal is to capture those sweet, tender moments. And those are super, super fun for me. But after doing this for 5 years, I love it, and I love more challenges. And that's where I get that in the commercial realm a lot is, okay, this person wants to incorporate a royalty theme. So trying to figure out royalty themes within our Southwest Missouri has been fun to ponder over and things like that. And also with new photographers out there, we're kind of all just kind of a catch-20 because we don't even really know what our niche is until it's presented in front of us, which I had this conversation with Heather Noggle when she was still part of 1 Million Cups about, I'm kind of just doing anything I can. And she kind of just said that as an encouragement. And she said, you'll figure it out. You have the skill for it. You have the eye for it. You'll figure it out. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Heather.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And I think that's that's so much wisdom right there that every entrepreneur needs to realize is that you best be ready for the trail to change directions.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because it probably will, and that's a good thing because you're settling into what fits you more, hopefully.
Hopefully.
How has your professional photography changed the way you take casual pictures?
Gosh, I'm so nitpicky. I hate being in front of the other lens just because I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for light. I'm looking for shadows. I'm looking for things in the background because I really don't want something sticking out of my head or into my head. I overanalyze when it comes to casual pictures. And it sucks whenever you have two small children because I can't have them stay still for very long, especially my 18-month-old. She just takes off. And she's, unfortunately, the more photogenic one.
So you're definitely getting those natural fly by the seat of your pants pictures.
Oh, my goodness, yes. Oh.
So has balancing, your home life and business been everything you thought it was, or more or less?
It's
surprising.
It's not even surprising. It's just each day is a new day. It is a different day. So I have no idea if someone's going to email me, hey, what is your quote for this long of a photography session included with this videography? It's not something that's planned. There's not really much routine I can really do. It's when it comes to the professional photos or videos, I'm kind of just waiting to see what presents itself. And I always try to go in the mindset of that this is an opportunity, not only for them, but also for myself. Because I'm not a salesperson. You know me very well enough to know that I hate sales. I hate doing sales. And a lot of people are like that as well. Yeah. So if I can't relate to the fact that I'm trying to be a genuine person, trying to let them know that, hey, this is going to be XYZ because of, ABC. And then most of the time I just get ghosted at that point. No one follows up and I try follow up and nothing. And that's fine. That's the majority of photography right there. Because people like to shop around and that's fine. I get that. I'm a consumer as well. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
And it's just, you don't plan for those things. You kind of just see the opportunity, you take it. And if it's there, great. Go on to the next one. If it's not there, that's fine. Keep going. There's a book out there that my father-in-law really hyped for business owners to read. It's called Going for the No. And that's pretty much that mindset right there is like, hey, anticipate that they're going to say no. Anticipate what obstacles they're going to present to you. And try to figure out the way to overcome those obstacles. Present your solutions to them beforehand. And I've seen a difference in what that mindset has done for my business personally. And that's part of the reason why I'm more extroverted than I used to be. 10 years ago, I would not be a business owner. I would not be a mom. I would be somewhere traveling the world teaching kids. That's honestly what I thought my life was going to be like. But life took a different course. I'm here and I'm really in the season where I'm learning what my weaknesses are, and I'm trying to find the opportunities and the best way to handle those weaknesses. And it's mainly for myself, is so I can be a better person, better entrepreneur, better mom, better wife, better, whatever facet I also touch in life.
What are some of the ways you do that? Because you just touched on something that's really important, because we have to refuel and rest as just human beings. So I know that sometimes I have trouble even knowing what that is. I'm like, I need something to recharge, but what is it going to be?
So I try to find multiple things in life that bring me joy. So that's baking, that's gardening, that's going out and riding one wheels, that's going and riding jet skis, that's spending time with my kids and having a movie night. But I don't overdo those joys, because at that point I'm losing motivation for my work. I'm becoming more of a procrastinator. I'm more of just sitting back and just watching everything go around me with not even a little bit of control, which I know is not the greatest advice, but having a little bit of control enough to see, okay, this is impacting me and it's negatively affecting me. I need to change something. I need to do something different. And that, and in situations like that, I'll just go to my computer, go back through some old photos, re-edit them to how my knowledge, my expertise is. And I'll honestly probably send those photos out to previous clients, like, hey, I did this. And it's just a good way of reaching out and following up with previous clients, which is a great tidbit for photographers. And just reconnect with people from the past. I'm not expecting those people to pre-book a session, but it's a good way for me being like, hey, I saw this, I was thinking about you, how was life going, and just touch base as a person. So having that balance of knowing what your joy is and taking the necessary dosage of each of those joys is a huge thing. That's one thing that I've been implementing more and more in my life. And I've also seen that's helped me with my prioritizing a little bit because, you know, Contributor Corner, I talk about prioritizing all the time because that's a really essential skill. Time management is an essential skill, and there's several other soft skills that are super important to being a business owner that I don't think we realize, oh, this also impacts my personal life as well. So that's a couple of tidbits. I'm sure I can talk on more and more about other strategies or skills that people can use to kind of help manage life a little bit.
I think that'd be good. We'll have you come back and do that. But before we go, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff. We are getting into the season of senior portraits, prom, Easter, spring, all that fun stuff coming up. What are some things that you're ready to be doing and some services that you want people to know that they can get in touch with you about?
Yes. So definitely senior portraits are incredible. I love those because those are the closest creative sessions I can get.
Yeah.
I love being creative and really just highlighting whoever the subject is. So I had talked this with you. I have a potential senior who has a very dark aesthetic. She's very much likes the moody, like a Wednesday from the Addams.
Yeah.
She very much has that aesthetic, and I'm really liking how her mood board is. And so that's one of the things I do. I like to create a visual and show them to people, like, here's kind of what to expect. And I love doing the senior portraits that way. I also like doing the spring family photos. I really do. Anything outdoors is something I love to do. Outdoor weddings are fun. I'll always take a wedding. I'm a sucker for weddings.
Yeah.
I know there's a thing in the photography world where weddings are you either love them or you hate them. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, I hate the stress that goes into it. But man, I love being able to interact with the couple and being able to like, oh, I'm part of your life now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Commercial, I'm always up for, especially like the branding sessions where it needs to kind of just update the business face a little bit. Another really good piece of advice I received through networking was you are the face of your business. Mm-hmm. So I'm always down to helping small business owners, medium-sized businesses, large. I very much have an international heart. Mm-hmm. So if there's always an opportunity to do outside work out of Missouri, I think I've done 2 destination photography sessions. One was a wedding and one was nature. Mm-hmm. I got stuck on a mountain.
Hey,
that's a story for a different day. But I really like doing destinations, and just I really like being a catch-20. It's not my long-term goal by any means, but those are definitely my favorite type of sessions to do. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Pet photography is also fun. I get to play with fur.
Yes. Fur friends are fun.
Yes.
You take a good reptile too, wouldn't you? What?
I'm not a huge reptile fan, but that's a story.
Okay. Maybe fur only. All right. Where can people go to get in touch with you? So best way to get a hold of me is sending me an email. You can find that on my website, mountainpinestudios.com, or you can send me an email at contactmpstudios@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Billie Wiegand, Mountain Pine Studios. Be sure you're following along at runradio.net.